Blue states are beginning to strike back at the Trump administration in a coordinated and unprecedented way after he threatened to freeze federal funds going to blue states in particular. This article reads, to fight Trump's funding freezes, states propose a new gambit, withholding federal payments. The novel and untested approach has been introduced by Democratic lawmakers in at least 4 states. And let me just say, this is how we punch back. I mean, this is just Democrats using the same type of aggressive tactics that Republicans have been using for over a decade now. Republicans use these tactics to consolidate power, and Democrats are always left in the dust, like wondering what happened. Remember when the GOP refused to allow President Obama to nominate Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court in 2016? They said that Obama was on his way out and it's not legal. We can't allow this. And then 4 years later, they rushed through Donald Trump's Supreme Court pick in nearly identical circumstances, meaning that they don't care about democracy. They don't care about norms. We know all this, but the problem is when one side is playing by the norms and the other side isn't, you're not playing in an even playing field at that moment. One side is abiding by the rules and the other isn't. Meaning we're always going to be on the losing end of the stick. It kind of reminds me of this post that went viral. It says, the last decade has been the Democrats clinging on to the rule book going, but a dog can't play basketball, while a dog effing dunks on us over and over. Obviously a bit dramatic, but for real, how many times are we just going to allow them to break the rules, dunk on us, and we're sitting there clueless as to what happened? So that's why I'm happy that states are beginning to punch back. Democratic legislators, mostly in blue states, are attempting to fight back against President Donald Trump's efforts to withhold funding from their states with bills that aim to give the federal government a taste of its own medicine. And can I point out, blue states carry red states on their backs. I live in Illinois, and no offense to the red staters out there, we love you, of course, but the people that live in California in particular, or a state like Illinois, or a state like New York, we genuinely backpack large portions of the economy. This is Governor Gavin Newsom pointing this out on Twitter not long ago. He said, Californians pay the bill for the federal government. We pay over $80 billion more in taxes than we get back. Maybe it's time to cut that off, Donald Trump, as Trump prepared large-scale cancellations of federal funding for California. So this isn't the Democrats randomly escalating. This is us punching back in a proportional way. When one side erodes the norms, we just go as low as them. It's not us going lower and lower. It's us matching the energy that they're giving out. And I think that Gavin Newsom's been doing a great job. He said, yes, we do, in regards to, do Californians really pay Trump's bills? Yes, Californians do pay Trump's bills and the nation's bills. Then Governor Gavin Newsom went on a slaughterfest, just punching red states over and over. Listen to this. After Representative Dan Crenshaw, who represents Texas's 2nd congressional district, tries to point out the murder rates in California, or says that California is uniquely violent. Now, he said really quickly, Newsom's acting like he won something here. Reality check. 9th Circuit Court ruled last night in President Trump's favor. He then talks about the crime rates in the full tweet. But Governor Gavin Newsom says, if you want to talk about restoring order, let's discuss your state's murder rate, which is almost 30% higher than California's. What about this one? After Representative Jason Smith said, Governor, I suggest focusing on the lawlessness and crime in LA and San Francisco instead of auditioning for the 2028 presidential primary with stale talking points. Governor Gavin Newsom then said, your state's homicide rate is 117% higher than California's, and he's talking about Missouri. And when you break down the actual numbers, conservatives don't understand that there are more murders in Chicago, for example, where I live, but that's because there are way more people in Chicago. When you break it down per capita, red states are way more violent. These are the types of simple facts that the right-wing media just doesn't lay out plainly, but we do on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed to the feed below. It's rough because a lot of the algorithms promote these right-wing shows more so than left-wing shows. So the lies and lies and lies get promoted on Twitter and TikTok. We're trying to reclaim that on YouTube. So if you subscribe to the Mockler feed below, you help us punch back against MAGA. Let's continue this article in just 1 second, but what do you guys think about this idea? I want you guys to let me know in the comment section what you think about the idea presented in this clip right here.
one path forward that needs to happen. I think that Democrats that are benefiting from Democratic policies or from Democratic successes need to start cutting off Republicans from those benefits. So if you live in a major city, there needs to be less funding going out to rural areas. If you live in a blue state, you need to fight the federal government when it comes to transferring funds from state to state. Like if you're in a red area and your economic productivity is low, you should suffer for it. Or if you're in an area and you're voting against like certain types of entitlement programs, if you're voting against FEMA, then your vote should be contingent on whether or not you have access to it or not. So that when they actually make bad decisions, they suffer for it. What did Republicans do after 2020? They lied about the results of the election. They broke into the fucking Capitol, and they still don't accept the results of that election. What happened this election? They said that this election was rigged. You sat here to watch me when Trump himself tweeted out, Philadelphia has crime going on. So no, fuck the soul searching. There needs to be consequences. So if you're voting against certain things, then you should lose access to them. I think it should be as simple as that. And then I think that's the quickest way to start connecting people's minds to the results of what they're voting for, because there's too much of Democrats having to turn the other cheek while still carrying the lesser productive members of society behind us. It's insane. It's unbelievable.
I mean, honestly, true. If you're voting for the president who then immediately begins to strip social safety nets for people across the country with this massive bill, then yeah, I think the social safety nets should be disproportionately cut in the districts that voted for Trump, in the more red areas. To continue to fight Trump's funding freezes, states propose a new gambit: withholding federal payments. This novel and untested approach, so far introduced in Connecticut, Maryland, New York, and Wisconsin — we got anyone from those 4 states in here — would essentially allow states to withhold federal payments if lawmakers determine the federal government is delinquent in funding owed to them. So it's just tit for tat. It's fair. Democrats in Washington state said they are in the process of drafting a similar measure, which means the coalition continues to get bigger. These bills still have a long way to go before becoming law, and legal experts said they would face obstacles, but they mark the latest efforts by Democrats at the state level to counter what they say is a massive overreach by the Trump admin to cease providing federal funding for an array of programs that have helped states pay for health care. So now, faced with Trump's insane, unhinged, petty freezes on federal funding, a lot of Democratic-led states are refusing to play by the old rules, dropping the rule book, and a lot of times on the back of the rule book you can find sort of a map on how to beat Donald Trump, and I think that's what we have to keep doing. I think we have to stop playing by the rules. We have to have a little bit of punch, a little bit of edge. Zohran Mamdani, for example, in New York, he decided to not play by the rules, to actually challenge Cuomo, challenge the status quo, whatever you want to call him. He continued to challenge the norms, and he won the primary. It paid off. Now he's in the general election. So the point is, Democrats have to make sure we are not the only ones following the norms. And I'm not saying that we should go storm the Capitol, but I think blue states signaling that they'll no longer just follow the norms while red states don't is a good start. It's a really, really good start. The gloves are off after years of Republicans breaking the norms, from the Supreme Court to the federal budget to January 6th and beyond. Democrats are finally matching the aggression with our own aggression, setting the stage for a new era in American politics. We will continue to break it down relentlessly. If you want a front seat, you can hit subscribe below. You can drop a like. I love you all. See you in the next video, and peace out.